afternoon, good afternoon, Nevis, good afternoon, St. Kitts, and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, the 12th day of April 2024. And of course, at 1 p.m. on a Friday, we're here for this show, and it is always my pleasure coming here, and this afternoon is no different. So while I am greeting the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, well, let me start home base first, because I normally start at the bottom of Zion Hill and come all the way around, well, covering the whole of St. James, St. Thomas Parish, St. Paul's, St. John's, and then all the way back around to the bottom of Zion Hill, where I cover the parish of St. George, and all of the villages and communities in between all those points. I just want to say good afternoon to everyone here in Nevis, and good afternoon to the folks in St. Kitts, of course. We do have a following down there. People would listen to us once they get a chance to. I know for a fact that some of my good friends said they were listening to me last Friday afternoon. You see, that's the power of technology and the power of radio, because you never know. And of course, I am absolutely certain that we have persons down in Statia, or St. Eustatius, as we'll say, St. Bart's, Sabre, French and Dutch St. Martin, of course, the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, United States, and I always cover the entire eastern seaboard. That range from up there in Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and those states way up in the northeast, and come down to this sunny state, or sunshine state of Florida. My favorite state, really. I spent some time there. Then go across into the Midwest, Texas, and those places. And then, of course, all the way over to the West Coast, California, all the way up to Washington State. They're a few hours behind us. I believe it might be, what, about three hours behind us? Yeah. So I say good morning to them. And then, of course, you have the entire Canadian territory. We have a lot of persons from the Federation, more so Nevis, who are living there in Toronto, Montreal, Ontario, and those areas. I don't know if we have anyone in Saskatchewan, but you never know, because we have nationals all over the world, up in Europe, of course, as well. You're talking about the UK, France, Germany, you know, Denmark. Oh yes, someone called in here on Wednesday evening, and I believe they said they're in Denmark. I believe. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you are listening, I say good afternoon to you, and of course over in Asia and other parts of the world, we do have nationals as well. I say welcome, and I usually spend some time to do that, because we certainly appreciate the listenership and the persons who consider Von Radio as their prime source of information coming out of Nevis, because, you know, we try our best here at Von Radio to bring wholesome information and truth to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and beyond. And indeed, there is a motto here: only the best will do. So that is why we stay on top of our game, for sure. Indeed, like I said, it's always a pleasure coming here, and this afternoon, I said it was no different. What is different this afternoon, though, is the fact that we have some lovely weather outside, and I'll get to that, but let me just follow the flow as we normally do it on a Friday. At this point in time, we always acknowledge those who are in the bereaved column, of course. I cannot speak of anyone in particular at this point. Oh yes, I didn't get a chance to do this last week. Let me express my sympathies to the family of someone who I would consider to be a friend, former classmate as well, Mr. Sean Nigel Henville. He passed away a few weeks ago, and I did not mention that last week, but I want to express my sympathies to his wife, Angela Henville, someone who I have known from since the day I entered high school there in Gingerland until now, and of course their daughter, and not forgetting his mom, Sheila Henville, who is grieving at this time, and of course his brother Adrian Daniel, and all of the other siblings and relatives, cousins, who are really mourning the loss of Sean. Something, or a passing that we never anticipated or expected. But life is so fleeting, and that's the fragility of life, you know. As they say, sometimes you're here today, gone today, or here this minute, gone this minute. But I'll say to you that Sean would have had 24 years, I believe, in the aviation industry. He was a pilot, of course, and would have flown for a number of airlines, including Nevis Express. Yeah, I remember when he started there. As a matter of fact, if I can backtrack, I remember when he left sixth form after 1 year of going to school there, and went off to aviation school. And a lot of us around that time and around that age were enthusiastic about flying. Well, I started doing something myself, had about 12 logged hours, and then thereafter the finances were not there. You know, we grew up poor and struggling in many regards. So those who could have went on. And indeed, Sean was one of those persons who would have had the resources to do so. And we commended him, and we always lift him up because he was from among us and he really excelled. He would have flown for Nevis Express. He would have flown for Caribbean Star, I believe. And you remember Caribbean Star and Caribbean Sun, those airlines, those two airlines that were owned by one Alan Sanford. And of course, he went on to Liat, indeed. Then we had the difficulties of 2020 with the COVID-19 situation, when airlines went belly up all over the world, and Liat had its difficulties coming back at this point in time in another shape and form, but that's for another conversation. And indeed, when Liat suffered the difficulties that he did, he would have moved on to DHL and was flying for DHL up until the point when he would have passed. So he had tremendous experience in the aviation industry, and indeed after 24 years I'm sure he had other plans too, but of course those plans will not come to fruition at this point in time. It is so sad when someone so young depart this life, and what can I say, but it is really one that would have touched many of us, and all of us who knew him, I must say. And of course I believe the funeral service is next Friday over there at the St. Thomas Anglican Church, and those who can attend, certainly make it your business to go and support the family, support Sheila, support Angela, and support the daughter and all of the other family members as well. It is certainly a difficult loss for them, and I pray God would find, or I pray that God would help them to find the strength to endure these difficult and challenging times. Of course, yesterday as well, the Brooklyn community would have gone down to the St. James Anglican Church to lend their support to the family of our dearly departed friend and family member, Sina Blake, Sina Blake, yes. There are a number of family members who are here on the island as well. I want to say to you, well, you are here, and of course you would have come for this funeral, yes, and we are happy to see you on these trying times, yes, but it's good to connect with persons who would have grown up in Brooklyn and who have come back, yes, for a very brief period of time, of course, yes, but they seeing you and being there with you to support you was certainly something that we were committed to doing, and we would have done. So in that regard, Marilyn, good to see you. Of course, Pearl, I say Auntie Pearl, that is the mother of Dr. Claude Nisbet. And indeed, in terms of the children of Sina, Florencia Blake and Corey Jeffers, of course we all know Buju Carvet. You know, he was his true self yesterday. And indeed, I was surprised to see other family members such as a neighbor and friend, Sarah, along with Michelle, and of course someone who I would have taught over there at the St. James Primary School, Shermel Jeffers. Shermel, good to see you. It's been a number of years, and good to see you back as well. And indeed, enjoy your time while it's here, even though you would have come for a funeral. There's always a mixture of what you can do. You mourn and then you enjoy yourself. Steve, it's good to see you as well. Steve Jeffers and Leroy Jeffers, all of you, welcome home under these circumstances, but while you're here, do enjoy what we have to offer here on the island of Nevis. It's good to see Brick Hill people coming home. You know, it felt like a little reunion yesterday. We've had some reunions over the years, one in 2010 and I believe one in 2015. We haven't had one since. Maybe it's time for another one. But Culturama is coming. And indeed, many more persons will be coming home. So not only Brick Hill, but all of the various communities here on the island of Nevis will have their informal or formal reunion. And when I say informal, when persons come home with not a set agenda in terms of activities that are geared towards a reunion, you'll find things to do, and we'll always do that and have a good old time. So I want to welcome all those who are planning on coming. Come on home and have some fun during our 50th anniversary of Culturama. And those who came this time around, we want to see you back as well. Nothing is wrong with coming twice in 1 year or even 3 times. You're coming home. And there's something about being home that makes your life feel so much better. So, yes, that's that for that. Anyone else who are grieving at this time, I say, may God continue to bless your entire household and bless your family and lift you up at this particular period in time so that you can find some comfort. Just embrace each other, love each other, and make sure you're being there to lend that shoulder to each other who are grieving at this time as well. In terms of birthday, anyone who is celebrating, I say to you, have a wonderful time today. Celebrate like it's the last. And as I always say, if you have $1, spend all of that money on yourself because you deserve it. And when I say $1, I know many of you have thousands. But whatever you can afford to spend on yourself, do it. Because when it's all said and done, it is your money, it's your resource, and when it's all said and done, you're spending it on yourself and you're enjoying yourself. So spend some time on yourself, spend some money on yourself, and enjoy life. Because you hear what I said earlier, our friend would have departed at a tender age. I call it tender age because I still feel like I'm young at 55 myself. But those of you who are celebrating, like I said, just celebrate. And so I spoke about the weather coming in. Listen, I took some wet to come here to be with you because you know what? I am committed to being here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But while I was exiting my vehicle to come into the building, it was pouring outside. And you know what? We've had some good weather since Wednesday morning, I believe. At about 1 o'clock in the morning, I said, what? When I went to my bed that night, Tuesday night that is, there was nothing to indicate that there was going to be some heavy showers by 1 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Since then we've had some rain and the weather has been so wonderful and so beautiful outside. Listen, when it rains, it is a blessing. And you know what? There are some people every morning who have these Facebook accounts and Facebook page. Every morning they talk about God and the Lord. And none of them have put up a posting to say, thank you, Lord, for the rain. You know, it seems like they play games with the Lord, right? And I say to you, listen, praise God, thank God, thank the Lord for his blessings and his tender mercies towards us. We've had some challenges with water, and I'll speak about water, I'm sure, just a bit. But these showers we have to be thankful for. And as a matter of fact, over the last two days, the grass have grown a few inches. The trees outside are much greener. It is just a marvelous thing when the Lord opens up the heavens and sends some rain on us and pour out his blessings on us. Thank you, Father. I want to say a prayer on the radio, but I already prayed this morning. But there's nothing wrong with praying multiple times per day. So those of you out there who can pray at this time, pray to the Lord, thank him for what he has given us, this blessing, and ask him for more blessing as well too, because the blessings are always needed. But the rain is good, and the weather here in Nevis, if you're out there in New York, if you're out there in California, if you're in Europe, in England, wherever you are, the weather here in Nevis is just wonderful. The rain is coming down, and that is what we love at this point in time. So that's that for the weather. But I would also say that in preparation for the hurricane season, the Minister Brand and his team has already met. That's Brian Dyer and his team there at the Nevis Disaster Management Department. They would have met already and had their first meeting for the year in anticipation of what is supposed to be an active hurricane season. The hurricane season starts in June, the 1st of June, goes down until the 30th of November. But you know what? I think we can say that the government and the Minister Brand and his team, Brian Dyer and his team, are being proactive at this time and have gone about their business in terms of activating some of the entities and getting the persons who are normally there to volunteer their efforts during the hurricane season, get them activated at this point to ensure that they're on board and that they're preparing for what is to come or what may come. And we're hoping that we'll have a hurricane season that is void of any disasters, really. But we never know. We continue to pray for the best, and that's basically what that is. So the Lord will not give us more than we can bear, and that is something that I am certain of. He would always be our protector, and he would always be our guide, and we thank him for that. So in terms of public service announcement, well, they said today is the first VAT day of the year. Oh man, persons are down there at the different hardware and supply stores and buying up their stuff, yes. So it is reduced VAT. It is not total VAT being removed, but I believe it's reduced to, 5%. And here are some of the things that are not, will not see any VAT reduction, I must say. Things like motor vehicles, tobacco, alcohol, those type of things, you'll have to pay your VAT on those. But when it comes to furniture, household appliances, hardware items, building material items, those things, those will attract some VAT reduction today. So today is your day to go and save some money. Go down to the various hardwares, go down to the various stores, whoever they are, and spend some money so that you can have the nice things in life that you wanted to have, but you felt it was a bit too expensive. Go ahead and spend some money today. Well, I'm going to spend some when I'm done here. Not much though, maybe about $300. I laugh because, I think there are times when you certainly have to balance your life and say whether you can or you can't. I am here encouraging you to go. You don't have to take up my word. But the offer is there for you to save some money on some items today. So if you can, go ahead and do so. Before I go any further, let me also do a little more public service announcement. I have my t-shirt already dropped off here for me for this walk tomorrow morning that is being put on by the Rehoboth Church over there, Church of God over there at Liebert Hill. Let me hold it up a little bit. I believe the cameras might catch it. Yeah? It says the Eastern Caribbean 66th Holy Convocation, Rehoboth Church of God, Liebert Hill, Nevis, April 10th to the 14th, 2024. And it says, stay in the race, with some persons running there. Hebrews 12, verse 1. So this is my t-shirt. And of course, the walk is sponsored by Urban Jones Construction and also Islander Water Sports. Two businesses over there in the St. James area. And these are two fine businesses. We want to thank Urban Jones, who is a member of the community over there in Liebert Hill. He's always on board with assistance, and also, of course, Islander Water Sports that is headed by Mr. Vincent. I always get mixed up between Winston and Vincent. Vincent Perkins, aka Plug Eye. So he's the one who manages Islander Water Sports, and they're the ones who are sponsoring that walk tomorrow. I'll be there at 5 a.m., God's willing. And the route, I am not too certain about the route, but wherever they go, I'm going to walk. That's the bottom line. And I encourage many of you to come along. This t-shirt, I understand, costs $50. So if you come tomorrow morning, bring $50 to contribute to the church. And bring your $50 and you can just slip this over whatever t-shirt you come in. Or if you can, pull off the t-shirt you come in, put that on and let's go. It's a nice bright color. So tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. over there at the VO Giant Sporting Facility. That's where the walk will commence, and it will end there as well. So I think I've done a good job in putting in that plug. And also one last plug to put in here in terms of the weekend, or the Sunday the 28th, not the weekend, Sunday the 28th. I'm doing this on behalf of my friend, what's his name, Mackie Truss. He and his team is putting on Parish Relay competition, and this is a relay, or these are relays that will be put on, and the competition will be among the 5 parishes in Nevis: St. James, St. Thomas, St. Paul's, St. John, St. George parish. All of those parishes will have their different teams, and they've announced the the races that they'll have. They have announced the sponsors. They have announced the format of that meet, and of course listen up for further information. But I just thought that you would want to put that on your calendar at least for now, so that you know on the 28th they have those relay races over there at the Mundo track over on the Long Point Road. Okay, so I said there was some rain outside, lots of rain we've had over the last couple of days, and indeed we may all recall that earlier in the week or sometime late last week there were some notices that were posted by the Nevis Water Department regarding some rationing of water in terms of the times when water will be turned off in the various communities. And of course most of the time when the water is turned off, it's between the hours of, let's say, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. They have chosen those times for a very good reason. Of course, those are the times when most persons are, heading to bed at least. And of course, by the time they're up by 5 a.m., water is back in most cases. In my case, that is what I've seen over the years, that by the time I'm ready to go to bed, it's off, yes, but by the time I'm up in the morning again, it's back on. Now, they would have had to do so because, of course, we would have had some very dry weather over the last couple of weeks. And indeed, what is contemplated with these water rationing situation is that overnight there should be some replenishing of the reservoirs during those hours, so that by the time you're up in the morning and the usage increase, then of course there would be water. And I bring that up because it is apparent that we here on the island of Nevis think that Nevis is the only island, or St. Kitts Nevis, for example, is the only country in the Caribbean that is suffering at this point in time because of the limited resource of this precious resource, water. There have been challenges, of course, and we look at the weather bulletin that are published monthly, and it certainly said that we would have been in this drought situation for some time. And indeed, we are experiencing a drought situation here in the Federation. I'm speaking specifically of Nevis, though. We've had our challenges with water because of the drought situation. And indeed, I went and did some research. And every single country south of us, even those who are close to the equator where you have more rainfall than we do, are having water rationed. Meaning Guyana as well will have their situation there where they're rationing water. You come up to St. Vincent. St. Vincent as well is having the same situation down there. St. Lucia, 4 days, 5 days persons have been without water in some communities down there. You come up to Barbados, the same thing. You come further north, Dominica, the land of many rivers, have water rationing taking place down there. And if you don't believe me, just go and type it in. Type it in your browser and you see, because all of the news items are out there for all of us to see. But the way we speak in Nevis, it suggests to us that Nevis is the only place, as they claim, that is rationing water, have challenges with water. We've had some difficulties with water for the last couple of years, and it's not because the government haven't done what it is supposed to do. We have done a tremendous amount of investment in water here on the island of Nevis. As a matter of fact, I will say to you, in terms of rainfall, let me touch on that first. Because between the years, and I can go way back, but I'm just making a point here regarding what has happened in Nevis over the last couple of years. Between the years 2006 and 2013, we've had an average of 56 inches of rain over those years. Each year, an average of 56 inches. Between the years 2013 to 2023 at least, we've had an average of just about 29 inches of rain. That's half of what normally we would have received for those years prior. So over the years you have had a decline. As a matter of fact, in 2010 thereabout, you had about 69 inches of rain here on the island of Nevis. 2009 or 2008, I believe it was about 60. Well, no, I think I twisted it around. Let me get it right because I have it written down here. 2010, yes, was 69 inches of rain. That's a lot of rain. 2011, 66 inches of rain. We haven't seen those numbers at all since those years. So you had an average, when you add up all those years between 2006 to 2013, you had an average of 56 inches of rain. And of course, the highest rainfall we've had since then was in 2017, about 55 inches of rain. And then you had 25 in 2015. We dipped towards lost 25 inches, yes. But over those years, from 2013 or 2014 to 2023, at least, you're looking at an average of just about 29 inches of rain. Half of the amount of rainfall that we have had compared to years prior. And so, that is no excuse for us to have water rationing at this point in time. But the realities are what we're dealing with. The realities are that we've had some challenges with rainfall. Climatic conditions have changed. You hear about climate change all the time. And if those of you out there who think otherwise, if you think it's not real, it is real, because weather phenomenons that we are seeing now, we have never seen in our lifetime. And things that takes place over, let's say, a generation, 30 years, things that take place over 10 years are now happening within 1 year or 2 years. It is just what we're dealing with. And in terms of what we're doing, though, I said before that the government, the Concerned Citizens Movement, have invested heavily in water here on the island of Nevis. As a matter of fact, between the years 2013 and let's say over a 3-4 year period, 2017 thereabout, we would have invested over $30 million in the upgrade of the distribution network here on the island of Nevis. It therefore means that we're getting water, which we never did before, from up there in Maddens, and it ends up all the way down here by Four Seasons, simply because we have had that major upgrade in our distribution network. We are getting water from all the way around at Fothergills, go all the way up to Stony Hill and down into Cherry Garden. And of course, we met a well that was non-functioning, a non-functional well up there at Hamilton. We were told it would cost the government $250,000 to buy a filtration system to filter out what we call manganese, which is an element that is not good for human consumption. And it was done, $250,000 US. That was there sitting around since 2009. And we came into government and we decided we need that water in our system. And we went ahead and bought it and mobilized that well to the point where we have, I believe, an additional 250,000 gallons of water per day. So there is water on the island of Nevis. I think what has happened is that we've had a situation where there have been more dry patterns that we have had to deal with than in the past. And in so doing, we have brought about a situation where water is available on Nevis. And I want to say to everyone out there that there is absolutely no major difficulty with water on Nevis as against anywhere else. All I'm telling the people of Nevis to do is to conserve the water that we have. We have to go ahead and conserve. If you normally consume X amount of gallons, or you turn on your pipe and let it run when you're doing certain things, well, turn it off as quickly as you can. Conserve as much as you can. But I understand what is being done on the part of the NRP, because you see all of this negativity that they're spewing out there is meant to change the minds and the hearts of persons out there who are thinking about coming home for Culturama. Some have already made their bookings to come. I say, come and have a wonderful time. The sky is not falling in Nevis. Things are good in Nevis, as a matter of fact. Nevis is on the rise. And the challenges with water is no different to anywhere else in the world. And I say something about water, you see, because I will tell you, when we got into government in 2013, and even prior to that, you know, the NRP was talking about this company, Bede, and how they gave them a contract. Bede was to produce 3 wells here on the island of Nevis. They produced two functioning wells, one at Fothergills and one at Maddens. We were paying them an average of $55,000 a month. As a matter of fact, if you were to just, let's talk EC dollars, we were paying Bede somewhere around $1.7 million per year to supply us with water, just to pump some water in some tanks. They didn't own the tanks. The CCM was the one who went and invested in all those new tanks that you see sitting around the island. Because I know when we came into government, there was some white tanks with some panel fused together with some rubber bushings around those tanks, and all of them were leaking. As a matter of fact, up there in Maddens, some livestock farmers were so smart, they went and dig some, you know, water catchment areas below the tank so that they can get filled with water, so that they can water the animals. At least they found some good use for it, but a lot more was going out than what was coming into those tanks. So those tanks were upgraded. You go around the island, up there in Madden's, big black tank up there, you go around to Stony Hill. Before you get to Stony Hill, though, you go to Fottergills, there's one up there, one up at Stony Hill, one down at, well, was just constructed. Down there at Zetlands, you go up to Burden Pasture, you go, where else? One up there at Hamilton as well. So you have wells, not wells, but tanks all around, over in Camps. How can I forget Camps? And then there is one up there at Spring Hill, way at the top of Fountain up there. So all of these tanks were put in place so as to conserve water, to cut out the wastage of water. So we now have the capacity to store well over 1 million gallons of water. And I will say to you, prior to coming into government in 2013, we had no such capacity. We were paying for water that we were not getting. And I want someone to come and dispute that. Because you have 2 wells, one up there at Fottergills, one up at Madden's. Both of them put together were producing just about 700 gallons of water per day. We never had the capacity to store 1 million gallons. As a matter of fact, the wells were not there to produce 1 million gallons of water per day. So all this talk you hear, you see, when people talk and they're not challenged, they sound like they're telling the truth, you know, but the culture within the NRP is they have a culture, you know, a culture of lies, culture of deception, a culture of misinformation, culture of hypocrisy. And when you listen to them and you really dig into what they're saying and peel back the onion, the layers of that onion, you understand where you're going. Pure deception. They never had the tanks in Nevis to produce, and Bede was never able to produce 1 million gallons of water in Nevis. Well, where am I going with this, you may ask? But I am going to somewhere to tell you this much. We have spent, this island, the people of Nevis, have spent almost $30 million on that deal with Bede. They were given, as far as I'm concerned, they were to develop 3 wells. They developed 2. Based on what the NRP told us, $6.4 million they would have spent on 2 wells. And yet still they got a contract for 10 years. And not only that, the people of Nevis was paying the electricity bills for those 2 wells, the pumps for those 2 wells. When I left, well, let me not put it that way. When I was no longer the minister responsible for Nevlec, I know when I was no longer the minister, those pumps would have racked up over $10 million in electricity charges. That was for the people of Nevis to pay. So you add that to what we were paying them to pump this water, is $30 million you're talking about. If we were to save all that money and put it into production of wells, and the average cost of a well is $3 million, so that's 10 wells you're talking about that we could have had if we were able to save that money. Listen, I am saying, as we have said in opposition, that when we were engaging with Bede, as a government back then in 2000 and whatever it is, 2008, we should have told Bede, develop the well, and then thank you very much and move on. Why did we give them a contract to pay them $1.7 million per year? When in truth and in fact, you could have developed those wells, save that money and use it for the benefit of the island of Nevis and drill more wells. Now we're going to find money. We're having to find money to drill more wells, which we're going to do, because we have already engaged a company from Trinidad that will come here to develop some more wells for us. But when people are talking, they talk as if they were not there. They talk as if the people of Nevis have forgotten. But we are here to remind the people of Nevis that irrespective of the challenges that we're facing, we have done more for the island of Nevis in terms of developing the water system here in Nevis than the NRP has done, as much mouth as they have. And if they were smart about it, and that's why something smells with respect to this deal. You know, it smells, the stench is there. And that's why every day and every week and every month and every year they keep defending this deal. Defending it. When in truth and in fact, we know that we have engaged Bede as the Concerned Citizens Movement, and we have engaged this company from Trinidad. and we know what it costs to develop a well. Why would you want to tie yourself into a contract for 10 years just to pump water out of the well? Our water, you know, is our water into our tanks. When in truth and in fact, the men and women there at the water department have shown us that they are capable of removing, repairing or replacing any pumps that go down here on the island of Nevis. The capabilities are there. And I want to commend everyone, all of those workers who work tirelessly to make sure that we have water here on the island of Nevis. Because if a well goes down today, within 24 hours, they are there working to get it back on track. Some of these wells, I believe, what, almost 400 feet down under the earth's, into the earth's crust. So it's a lot of pipe they have to remove and replace that pump, and then put it back down into that well casing, and then we have water. So irrespective of what, the capabilities are there, the technical know-how is there, and when you see these things where you're going to end up giving a company 10 years contract to pump water, our water to us, you must be offended by these things, you know. You must be offended, because $30 million over those years, almost $30 million, I believe, could have done so many things for us here on the island of Nevis in terms of further upgrade of our water. But we have done a marvelous job to this point. And I'll say this much. Once the heavens continue to open up and the blessings continue to flow down upon us, all that they're talking about will just be a memory, something of the past. As we forge ahead to ensure that more water is brought into our systems, we're going to go ahead and do that. And so, I want to say this. There's some value to telling the truth. There's some value to being transparent. There's some value to being as honest as you can and not misrepresent the truth. And the truth is the CCM has done an excellent job of maintaining the water network here in Nevis, upgrading it, maintaining it, and also building upon what was there. We don't have to come with no isms and no schisms to make people feel that something was amiss when we came into government. We came clear and clean. And we not only did that, we came forth with a project, and $30 million was spent to upgrade the network here on the island of Nevis. New tanks, new lines, new everything. And so that is why we can speak with authority today, and speak with authority as an administration that we have invested more in water than any other government would have done. As a matter of fact, we can go further. I did mention about Nevlec, you know, and that $10 million that Nevlec could do well with that right now. Nevlec could do well with that amount of cash. But they went and they changed the arrangement and the agreement with BEAD in 2009, I believe. When BEAD was paying the electricity, the NRP said, no, we're going to pay it. The NRP went change up the whole deal and throw the cost of electricity on the backs of the people of Nevis. So we were paying for water, and we were still paying for electricity. These are things that, with all the noise they could make, they go huff and they puff, they could blow in any house and blow it right down to the ground. When it's all said and done, the truth will still remain. And the truth is, they went and changed this deal with BEAD from what it was initially in 2008. And they decided that the people of Nevis will pay the electricity bill for those two pumps up there, the one at Maddens and the one over at Fottergills. That is what they would never tell you. And that's why I say they have a culture of deception, a culture of hypocrisy. Because if in truth and in fact that is what they did, well, remind the people you had to do it now. And tell them why you did it. But if you're going to start harping, oh, no water in Nevis, and people call in on the radio station and say, oh, they remember the days when they used to carry water upon their head and think, listen, people of Nevis, people of St. Kitts, people in the diaspora, not one soul in Nevis carrying any water on any head anywhere. Not one fire truck carrying water to anybody's house anywhere in Nevis. Not one water truck carrying water to anybody's house or anybody property here in Nevis because of any difficulties with water. I've seen some water trucks around here. I'm sure they're looking for business, but the business that they have is to carry water up in the hills in Jessops and those places, yeah? Where there might be some issues up there with a swimming pool or something, I don't know. But I know for sure, nobody in Brick Hill, nobody in Butlers, nobody in Newcastle, nobody down in Hanley's Road carrying any water on any head anywhere. Do not let anybody fool you. Nobody is seeing any fire truck anywhere up and down Nevis carrying any water anywhere. If there's a fire somewhere, then the fire truck is out there once in a while. But the way they're talking as if the sky is falling in, the worst thing on Nevis, as they're saying. But let me tell you, come to Nevis for Culturama 50 and you'll see what a beautiful island this is. Come to Nevis and you'll see the infrastructural upgrade that we have done. Because even from Cotton Ground to Newcastle, you know, they spend years on that road, call it honest mistake and all kind of foolishness, and refuse to do it. I'll touch it when they were in government. We decided to do it now. You hear them talk about roads? That's a beautiful surface going on over there, over towards Newcastle. So all of the upgrades we've done is to ensure that we have done what the people of Nevis wanted us to do, and that is the mandate that was given to us. Man, develop the island, push the island forward, and that's why I've said to Premier Brantley and others, listen, boy, listen, a lot of things that you hear out there, just don't pay attention to them, yeah? Because those are meant to distract you from the work that you're doing. And so we continue to press on. We continue to press on, and we continue to do what the people of Nevis have mandated us to do, and that is to improve the infrastructural situation here in Nevis. But let me say something before I move on. Because you see all these negatives that we are spewing out there, that's the NRP, yeah? All these negatives that they are spewing, people are listening. Investors are listening. Potential investors as well. And when they hear these nonsense coming out of Nevis, what do you think they're going to say and do? They come to Nevis, or they don't even have to come. They sit down wherever they are, because that's the power of technology. And they listen to what is coming out of Nevis from the NRP. And before they even think about coming to Nevis, they're going elsewhere, you know. They're going elsewhere, and it's not because Nevis don't have the best and ideal situation to offer in terms of the environment for investment. But when they hear these people talking, they're going to say, some mad people down there. Crazy people down there talking this nonsense. Well, me ain't going down there to invest my money. That's what they'll say. But I'll say this to any potential investor out there, anyone who are thinking about an island to go to invest your money, come to Nevis. Nevis welcomes you. We have a government that is inviting. We're inviting you to come. Come and have a look. And while you're having a look, let's have some discussions as well. Because the thing is, I heard the Premier the other day asking members of the business community here on Nevis or in the Federation to spend some money in Nevis, come to Nevis to invest. And it looked like they're not vexed with that too. But the Premier was right. The Premier was right to ask the business community here on Nevis or in St. Kitts Nevis, come and make some investment in Nevis as well. You make money out of Nevis, nothing is wrong with that. There's VAT going on, and all of the businesses downtown and down Pennies and wherever is making money now. So what's wrong if he asks them to invest some of that in Nevis? The private sector have their role to play as well, just as the government. The government is there to facilitate, because any concession that is needed, once the government can offer, the government will offer it. That is the job of the government. But also the private sector has its role to play. Because if you're investing in your company, you also want to make sure that you're investing in the same island or country in which you're making money, so that you can make more and the country can prosper and everybody see prosperity at every level. So what is wrong with the Premier asking TDC, for example, or Horsfords or whoever else to invest something in Nevis? Man, yes, I agree with the Premier, and I'm going to say it too, I agree with him. Invest in Nevis. If you're making money, bring... Listen, I went to a particular site earlier this week. Local contractor, local businessman, making a huge investment along the pump road there. Huge investment. That is what we want to see, and I commend, and I think I can go as far as to call Mr. Lescott's name. I don't want to make no politics out of it, because I'm sure don't want to get involved in that. But listen, a Butler man is from Butlers. Grew up right there in Butlers, next to the mailbox up there. But look what Lescott is doing for his island. Investing heavily over there on the pump road. He's putting back something in and say, well, this is a legacy that I'm going to leave behind. Because Nevis have been good to me, so I'm putting back something into the island of Nevis. And I commend Mr. Lescott for that. And many others who have done, well, Shiverton and all of them who have done investments here on the island of Nevis. Local businessmen, local people investing in the local economy. Well, what's wrong with the Premier asking for TDC and Hasford them to put in something too? Rams and all of them. Man, we should have seen many other things being done by them on the island of Nevis. They've made money. What's wrong with that? So you're saying this as if to say what? They must take and not put back? I commend the Premier for being forthright and upfront with this, yeah? And that's what you should do as a leader. Because those who are talking negativity, you know, the failures there, you know, you see this rain that's falling out there? One of Nevis' best agriculturists. He says he's the best farmer in Nevis. We drive across, what you call over there, Bellevue. And I say, well, Lord of mercy. This is the farm, the passion fruit farm. Not one thing is but a ton of grass. So rain gonna come, grass go longer, no passion fruit. But they have all the chat in Nevis and have all the mouth. I tell the people of Nevis already, when you sit down and listen to failures, all you'll do is fail in the end. Listen to people who have succeeded. Listen to people who bring truth to you. Listen to people who are transparent. Listen to people who bring value to the table. Because all of them who said that they're doctors. I mean, one soul with a doctorate. I belong with it. Because when it's all said and done, you could cut all kind of letters in front of your name and to the back of your name. What have you done lately to suggest that you have the training and you have the acumen? What have you done? Me, I say nothing that they have done. But they have the most mouth, and these are who are lining up to come into government to swim in the trough as far as I'm concerned. I'm on a different level today, yeah? Because when it's all said and done, you get fed up hearing people are trying to dictate the narrative here in Nevis, when in truth and in fact they have nothing behind their name to say, well, I've done this over my lifetime, and here's the example for you to look at and to live from. Can't be listening to failures and be guided by failures. If the Premier is asking for persons to invest, listen to the Premier. If the members of cabinet who have sat down and have put policies in place and said, come and speak to us to invest in the poultry project that is going to come on stream, listen to the Minister of Agriculture. Because they have the prescription for you to add some additional economics to your life in terms of revenue stream. So every time they come, negatives. But the reality is, the concerned citizens movement in government, we are saying to you, that we're ignoring the noise, you know, but sometimes you have to respond to the foolishness to put, you know, sense to some of the nonsense that they're talking about. But I'm saying to you that we are on a path whereby Nevis have realized increase in employment. You can't doubt that. Increase in the amount of visitors we have had in the island, or to the island. We have had upgrade to our infrastructure. We have investment in agriculture, and like I said just now, the poultry project is coming on stream shortly. And of course, there haven't been much being said, but there's some work being done, and the minister will speak accordingly. And of course, we are building up a momentum here towards Culturama this year, which when you come here for Culturama, seek out avenues for investment as well. You may come to have fun, but in your fun and frolic, keep in mind there's always some investment you can make here, whether in housing, whether in some form of business, I can't say. But when you come and you look at the environment here and you see the opportunity, grab on that opportunity. Because, you know, people come from different countries and different islands to Nevis, you know, and they're showing signs of prosperity here, right here. Whether they're in the construction industry, whether they're in the landscaping business, whether they're in whatever business they're in, mechanic, whatever they're in, they have shown signs of prosperity right here on the island of Nevis. The only people who are not prospering are those who are out there 24/7 calling down Nevis, saying the worst thing about Nevis. While they're calling down Nevis, those who see possibilities and those who can capitalize are capitalizing and making money and enriching their lives and making their lives and their livelihood better, and also making sure that their family is prospering as well too. I diverted to some extent. What time it is? 10 minutes to 2. Wow, time is running along. Let me go on to something else quickly. I spoke about Culturama. Just by way of information, I want to say to anyone out there who are hoping to be home for Culturama and want to be in a troop for Culturama, the Fun Lovers, the St. James Fun Lovers troop will be on this year. If you need further information, kindly call Tracy Fraser, Mrs. Tracy Fraser, that is, 663-4846. 663-4846. Give her a call and she would tell you exactly what is required of you to be a part of this troop. I think I'll get some of my belly off so that I can jump in this troop this year. You know, I'm gonna start walking, playing my tennis and everything, you know. So Fun Lovers is on this year, and as a matter of fact, while I'm on Cultural, let me still put in a plug for Herbert Beach, you know, because we're having two sessions over at Herbert Beach, and Herbert Beach seems to be the talk of the town. Every time I listen to anyone on Facebook, on radio, it's Herbert Beach. I don't know, after 27 years, Herbert Beach is still the talk of the town. Anyway, you always have to talk about something that is good. Something that is good. You got to talk about Herbert Beach, and the more they talk about Herbert Beach, the more we're going to press on, and the more people are going to come over there. So Herbert Beach, we're having homecoming on the 31st of July. That's Wednesday the 31st of July. We had that back in 2014 and I believe in 2015. I'm saying here again, we're bringing it back for this year. Homecoming will be on Wednesday the 31st of July. So if you come off of British Airways and you get to Navy say by 5 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock, and you go home, take a shower and come back. Or you can come straight to Herbert Beach, you know, if you come home. Whenever you get home, get to Nevis on that day. If that is the day when you arrive, come down to Herbert Beach. We're going to have music, food and everything down there. We're planning our activity for that night. And then, of course, the big Herbert Beach Affair Day is Monday, what is that now? The 5th of August, yes. Monday the 5th of August. And let me say this, we're moving from 12 midday on the Monday to 12 midnight. And then from 12 midnight, we're continuing the session all the way down to 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Because we want to have breakfast at Herbert Beach on Tuesday the 6th of August. And not only that, I have already consulted one of our exercise guru around here. What do you call it? Physio. Mr. Macefield Nisbet, I can call his name. I already told him I wanted to come down at 6 o'clock on Tuesday morning, the 6th of August, to have an aerobic session down there. So when you come for breakfast, you're going to do your workout, you jump up and you run up and down the beach or whatever you got to do, whatever Macefield would put you to do. And then when you're done, you're going to have yourself a sumptuous breakfast. Yeah? Music will be down there. I've already contacted a couple of artists who would come down, let's say 4 in the morning, and have some good music down there. We're going because the understanding is there is no time to sleep for Culturama. My understanding is that we're going from Sunday to Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday, all day, all night we are going down. Once the people who are coming and the people who are here have the stamina to survive that, we're going 24/7. 24/7. So you come down to Herbert Beach for 12 o'clock on the Monday, the 5th. We're going down to 12 midnight. In the past, we're closing down at 12. People have been showing a lot of disgust and a lot of consternation has been out there. So we're saying we're going down to midnight, yes, on the Monday night. And then we're going all the way down to 7, 8 o'clock on the Tuesday morning. And so, music, fun, food, everything. And I'm asking those who would eventually get booths, make sure you have people home in your kitchen preparing breakfast for the Tuesday morning, because we're going down until broad morning, as they say in local parlance and local terms. So Herbert Beach is on. And then, of course, like I said, those who want to be a part of Fun Lovers Troop, the St. James Fun Lovers Troop, yes, there will be a troop. Yes, you can call Tracy, Mrs. Tracy Fraser, at 663-4846. So she would take care of that for you, right? Okay, and indeed, we are seeing a lot of work being done to improve the infrastructure up there, the cultural village and the cultural complex. That work, or those work, I believe will be done well in advance of Culturama, because there are quite a number of contractors who have been engaged there to ensure that we get the work done. And so we'll have new environment, much larger space, and so if you want to dance, you want to move, you'll have space. But I believe the amount of people that are going to be around here, I think that space will be well occupied over those times. So we're moving along, people. We're building towards something good, and we're building this island towards prosperity. Of course, I haven't said much about the airport, but a lot of work is being done behind the scenes. A lot of technical work is being done. The design is in the works. And of course, we are doing some further negotiations that we will alert the public as we go. But I will say to you that that project, we're still working feverishly to ensure we can bring about that project, because that project will mean so much to the island of Nevis, and indeed it will be a game changer for the island of Nevis. Of course, I would have loved to say that persons can fly right into Van Sammer International Airport for this upcoming Culturama season, but of course it's not going to happen. Of course, you can come from St. Thomas, you can come from St. Martin, you can come from Antigua on those smaller airlines or smaller aircraft. But indeed, we are expanding this facility to accommodate traffic from out of the U.S. mainland, for example, Miami, straight into Nevis. So we'll speak more about that. And we have a town hall meeting or consultation planned for early May. So I'll bring that date to you shortly so that we can prepare for that. And also, let's see what else. And yeah, we're almost out of time. So what else? Yes, the Whit Monday. Over the past couple of years, we've had a fundraiser over there in Brooklyn, right there in the heart of Brooklyn, for persons who have medical issues or challenges with their medical situation. We are having an activity again this year on Whit Monday. Can't recall what date is Whit Monday, but it might be around the 21st, about the 21st of May, I believe. I'm not sure, but anyway, we have some time, but I'm just saying it here and now, since I have a minute or two left, that we will have that event again this year. So listen up for that, and we will also announce in whose who would benefit from the funds from that activity as we get closer to that date as well. So yes, I touched on a few things, and I could start other new things now, but I won't do so. But I want to close out by encouraging persons to come out for that walk tomorrow morning over there at the VOJ and Sporting facility. It starts there at 5 a.m. and this is the Rehoboth church over there, Church of God over there at Libert Hill, who is putting on this walk. And indeed, they said once it's done, there will be breakfast available to those who come to participate. So it's $50 for the shirt, 50 EC, and that contribution will go to the work of the church and other community related events. Yeah. So that being said, I believe we're almost out of time, but I want to pray that more rain will come so that the farmers here on the island of Nevis will be happy as a result and continue their production and produce lots more food for us here on the island of Nevis. So when it rains, they are the ones who I'm always cognizant of and wish them well in their farming. Listen, I'm out of time. I'm not going to touch on anything else new other than to say that we continue to forge ahead here on the island of Nevis and to bring about prosperity for the people of the island of Nevis. Good things are happening on Nevis. Good things are happening under your concern, Citizens Movement, and the Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley at the helm, who is ensuring that the best interests of the people of Nevis are being looked after. And I applaud him and his team for their effort, and I implore them to continue to press on in the best interests of the people and the island of Nevis. That being said, I'm out of time, and I want to thank my technicians for their effort. Every Friday they come and they make sure that everything is set up nicely and make sure that I can dispense and disseminate information in the best possible way, clean and wholesome as ever. Thank you for listening to Van Radio 860 AM. Have a wonderful weekend. May God continue to bless the island of Nevis and the people of Nevis, bless the government and bless everything on this island so that we can continue to be of good use and good purpose here on the island of Nevis. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend and bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
And you were just listening to a repeat edition of the On Point program, which was first aired on April 12th, 2024.
You're listening to Vaughn Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
It is now 2 o'clock.